We live in a world fraught with increasing challenges and opportunities. It was the noted English writer Charles Dickens who wrote, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness." What Dickens wrote in 1859 could easily be used to describe the challenges and opportunities facing the world we live in today. Not unlike France in the early 1800s, which was the setting for Dickens' classic novel, A Tale of Two Cities, today's worldwide community, including emerging economic powers such as Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, and Spain, are working hard to develop the necessary economic framework at one end of the spectrum while fighting for a larger global market share at the other end of the spectrum. And just like the fragile society of France that Dickens so eloquently described in his popular novel, we must find a way to evolve from ideas and intentions and vision to taking action and achieving substantive results that demonstrate our commitment to harnessing the talents and energies of society at all levels and across the 7 continents. But first, to accomplish that delicate transition from intentions to actions, we have to have in place systems and processes that can get us there. Let me use the analogy of driving a NASCAR race to make my point. If you're going to compete in a NASCAR race, you need to have a fast car with a powerful engine, a skilled driver, a talented pit crew to keep your race car in top condition. And of course, it helps to have test-driven the race course so you know the turns and the curves around the course. And by the way, you should also know both the written and unwritten rules of racing so you don't get penalized or injured. Now, if you own a well-designed race car, but it doesn't have a powerful engine, you won't be able to compete. The excellence triangle that we'll examine today is really the engine that drives our success and helps us maneuver around the racecourse of global competition. But first, let's examine the racetrack we must compete on, or, in other words, the world in which our current systems and models must operate. In keeping with our NASCAR analogy, there are several key players who must keep our racetrack in great shape so people and businesses can perform to the best of their abilities. The institutions that are primarily responsible for providing policies and programs that allow free market societies to prosper and grow are government, educational institutions, businesses, healthcare, the nonprofit sector, and the scientific and research organizations. It might also be useful to discuss our pit crew, the people who were responsible for keeping our race car in prime operating condition, or, in other words, the regulators, educators, entrepreneurs, bankers, and venture capitalists who come together to create economic success and growth. Once the power of a good idea is set free in an open market economy, incredible things can happen. When a product or service is created, people are hired to deliver and support that product or service, and wealth is created. But in today's global economy, there are 3 significant challenges that must all work in harmony if we expect to achieve our greatness. And they are education, economics, and the environment. I refer to these as the excellence triangle. Let's briefly examine each one. The first E, or leg of the excellence triangle, is education. Now, I begin with education because it is the root from which economic prosperity and our environment can be improved. An uneducated or an undereducated society suffers the dual inequities of not developing the talents and wisdom of its people, as well as not positioning itself to compete on the global stage in any of these critical areas, such as knowledge management, security, science, sports, medical research, finances, politics, agronomics, education, tourism, and technology. The cold, hard facts tell us these are the areas that are attracting most of the money and investments. This is where the opportunities are in today's modern society. Education is also critical to a society's economic security and political freedom. The role of a civil society is to educate all of its people, men and women alike, teaching them about its culture and history, as well as the culture and history of other societies, to preserve its language and traditions while understanding and respecting the ways of other cultures and people. Consider these stunning statistics regarding education. According to a 2010 study from Harvard University and the Asian Development Bank, less than 7% of the world's population has earned a college degree. It's estimated that less than 30% of the world's population has completed high school. How does our global society harness the talents and energies of society when so many people are undereducated or illiterate? This is a major challenge. Revisiting our racetrack analogy, if the NASCAR drivers don't even have a license, or in education terms, a diploma, what chance do they have of winning the race? I would say little or none at best. Consider what an educated population contributes to the betterment of society. First and foremost, education expands the minds of people and exposes them to a world of possibilities through the access of data, information, and knowledge. Educated people are trained and disciplined to think, to analyze problems, and to solve problems. Educated people understand the importance of culture, civility, and expanding economic opportunity for all members of society. Also, what's important in terms of education are the hopes and dreams of people. When a society is skilled and trained, dreams are realized, prosperity is possible, hope is translated from dreams and aspirations to reality. With an education, the chances for success are not only greatly enhanced, but practically guaranteed. Both formal and informal education is critical to the growth, maturity, and stability of a society. This means that vocational schools and on-the-job training for many people are just as important in the scheme of success as a college degree or a license to practice law or medicine is for others. As someone once said, when you have a leaky water pipe, you don't need a brain surgeon. You need a plumber. So many people who choose to become a tradesman, mechanic, or technician are just as valuable to society as lawyers, physicians, and engineers. I think the ultimate value of an educated society is its collective capacity to advance and elevate the standard of living and quality of life for all people. The second E in the excellence triangle is economics. As every successful person knows, a vibrant economy is the key to growth, prosperity, and a higher quality of life. How to create a strong economy requires three components. First, as we just discussed, it requires an educated or trained population that can perform services, skills, and jobs that attract both domestic and foreign investment. Secondly, a strong economy requires resources, whether those resources are natural or man-made. The third E in the excellence triangle is environment. Now, there are two types of environment I want to talk to you about. The first, of course, is our natural environment. We live on a planet with limited resources such as fresh air, water, oil, natural gas, coal, trees, food sources, and the other major minerals and elements that we rely on to sustain life. We've got to act consciously and respectfully towards Mother Earth if we expect our planet to sustain us. Now, the second type of environment that is relevant to our discussion today is a dynamic new frontier that is changing how the middle class and upper class live and celebrate life. And I want to spend the rest of our time together focusing on this second aspect of our environment. It's really our spiritual environment, or as I like to refer to it, the wheel of life. What's fascinating to me is how so many people all over the world are paying more attention to the quality of their lives. It's no longer about simply getting a job and staying with the same company for 25 or 30 years like our parents did. I think the wheel of life captures the key elements that are most important to this new generation of workers who are smart, capable, and do not hesitate to question authority. And of course, the attitudes of the younger generation have not gone unnoticed by the baby boomer generation, which is rediscovering the importance of enjoying their legacy years. In 2005, the late Steve Jobs, the inspirational genius and co-founder of Apple, told the graduating class at Stanford University these powerful words, and I quote, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown you out and silence your own inner voice. And most importantly, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary," unquote. I think what Steve Jobs told those Stanford graduates in 2005 resonates even louder today as more people realize the greatest gift we have is our ability to enrich life and achieve great results by tapping into our human potential. This is what I mean when I talk about the spiritual environment and the transcendent dimension of human beings. Consider what's important to you at this stage of your life. The wheel of life revolves around 8 elements that are vital to every human being. And here they are: career, money, health or wellness, relationships, romance, fun and recreation, our living environment, and of course, spirituality. Many universities are now studying these 8 powerful elements of the wheel of life because they are closely related to the buying and spending patterns of the middle class and upper class. Marketing companies also pay close attention to how we relax, travel, and have fun, because those elements of the wheel of life also reveal how we spend our time and money. And let me add, these patterns are similar across all Western societies, regardless of whether we're talking about Americans, Mexicans, Colombians, Brazilians, or Europeans. The American Consumer Council defines this segment of our global society as the consumer class. In the United States, the consumer class consists of 194 million Americans whose annual median household income as of 2009 reached over $50,000 a year. That's an impressive number. But what's also impressive is the upward per capita income trend of some emerging countries, such as China, Brazil, and India. This means we're growing a global middle class, and therefore the 8 elements on the wheel of life will become even more significant as millions of people have more money to spend on their spiritual or living environment, pleasures and needs. Consider the fact that the average person only lives about 30,000 days, which equates to about 82 years of age. Now, that might seem like a long time to you, but I can assure you, if you're 55 years of age, it really isn't long enough. When the reality of your own mortality sinks in, that's when we really get motivated to eat healthy, exercise, save money, and reconsider our significant relationships. Perhaps this also explains why so many people in their 40s and 50s get divorced. When your spiritual dimension surfaces, it also affects how you treat yourself and those you love. For example, in my work with companies on the topic of work-life balance, I've had hundreds of people tell me how they resolved long-standing family feuds or found a way to resolve personal differences with the child or parent. I believe what they're all telling me in a variety of ways is that life is too short to hold grudges and stay angry or bitter. Frankly, it's more important to forgive and move on so that you can find peace within your own heart. Perhaps this explains why so many people of all ages and all around the world are rethinking the status quo and finding their own path to spiritual consciousness and focusing on their wheel of life. So, as we conclude this session, I want to challenge you to embrace the excellence triangle and always be a student, because as the saying goes, school is never out for the pro. Consider your current economic status and think of ways you can put your talents to work, doing what you love to do, to make enough money to support your desired lifestyle. And of course, we must make a conscious decision and act to protect our environment. Not only the environment in which we live, but that spiritual environment in which we grow and celebrate life. Take some time to reevaluate your environment using the Wheel of Life so that you can fully appreciate your strengths as well as those opportunities for improvement. Ask yourself, in which of the 8 elements are you strongest? And in which areas are you weak? By using this process, you can take the next step to overcoming your own internal challenges and achieving your greatness. I wish you the best.
Thank you for your presentation, and now let's begin Module 2 of this program.